Of the museum we call the Toy Box, and you are about to view a collection amassed by one man who wishes to remain anonymous. We honor their request as he wants the items collected to be the stars of the show. His passion has brought together one of the world's largest collections of pop culture from the 1870s to present day. The collection is constantly evolving, and we like to say there is always room for more. As your tram ride begins, we would like to remind you to remain seated at all times and do not get off the tram. We encourage you to take out your phones and cameras to take lots of pictures and videos. If you post on social media, please tag us. There will be a lot to see on your tour today, and we always like to know what caught the eye of our guests as they traveled along. Around the first corner on the right, say hi to our wonderful gorilla. He stands guard here 24/7 to make sure he is in place to greet all of our guests. As you continue looking right, say hello to Dora the Explorer in the Soapbox Derby car. Today she is being co-piloted by Alf. On the left, we have a replica of a Conestoga wagon, along with Cowboy Bob. Real Conestoga wagons that traveled across this great country were actually 18 feet long and 11 feet high and could carry up to 12,000 pounds of cargo. Our collection got started with automobiles. The first of these is on your right, the blue 1956 Thunderbird. This is a beautiful sports car equipped with a hardtop convertible. These models were made for 3 years between 1955 to 1957 and designed to compete with the Chevrolet Corvette. For a family car, look no further than the next car on the right, and you will find a 1958 Studebaker station wagon. The price of this automobile when it first arrived in the showroom was $1,776. We have around 70 classic vehicles here in the museum, some of which you get to see on foot and some from the tram. If you love cars, make sure you pick up a brochure for our sister company, the Classic Auto Mall in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. They have a huge selection of vintage automobiles for sale. If you would shift your focus to the left, we have 3 circus wagons filled with delightful automatons. In the late 1890s, electricity was coming to our big cities. At the same time, mass production of plate glass was developed. Therefore, storefronts opened up with large display areas and the art of window dressing began. At that time, most people did not have electricity in their homes, and the public was captivated by the moving displays of electric lights in the store windows. Just like the mechanical music you will hear today, these displays were early forms of marketing. You went where the beautiful music and interesting moving objects were located, and the businesses hoped that you would come inside and spend your hard-earned dollars. The automatons we have on display in these circus wagons are just the tip of the iceberg. We have many more to show you later in the tour. Continuing to look left, you will see our tableau of dogs playing poker. If you lived through the 1960s, chances are you remember dogs playing poker and pool as artwork that hung on many family room walls. These anthropomorphic animals first appeared on calendars that advertised tobacco products and have become iconic in our American culture, and they are still being reproduced today. Please make sure to look at our framed and lighted poster of one of the most famous of these paintings, titled A Friend in Need. Properly titled, as you can see, the bulldog is slipping his buddy an ace under the table. Was he a good dog or a bad dog? Only you can decide. Moving along, we have an assortment of vintage amusement park items on your left, starting with the blue Lug-C Brother auto scooters that are known as bumper cars. They're from the 1940s. Behind them are Dodge bumper cars that represent the 1950s. Following them, there is a 1930 roller coaster carriage made by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. This carriage is wooden and was made at a time before there were safety regulations. No seat belts or lap bars on this ride. You just held on and prayed when you went speeding down the hills of the roller coaster. Typewriters located by the tractors. Why do we have typewriters? The answer is we had a lot of visits from student groups, and many of them don't know what a typewriter is. In addition to typewriters, we also show young people a payphone and vinyl records. Mind blown. As we travel along, looking right, we have lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! Look right to see our favorite animal in this display, Calamity Jane. She has a gun in her holster, whiskey in her boot, and a custom-made cowgirl hat. Now that is what we call really good ranch dressing right there. Across from Calamity, you will see the Rupp motorcycle, the red cycle with 2 wheels in the back and 1 in the front. This was made in the early 1970s. Elvis Presley had one just like it. Our collector loves Elvis, so he had to have one too. Next to the Rupp are beautiful red, white, and blue Stars and Stripes motorcycles. They were made in California and custom built to resemble the iconic motorcycle Captain America from the 1969 movie Easy Rider, starring Peter Fonda. But the star of the show in this aisle is the first self-propelled wheelchair invented in this country. Here on the left, we have the Custer chair, designed by Luzerne Custer and introduced in 1916 in Dayton, Ohio, where Mr. Custer lived. The wheelchair we have on display is battery operated and used mostly indoors. They also made gasoline-powered wheelchairs for outdoor use. Notice the tiller bar that was used for steering. The wheelchair sold for $175. At that time, the average price of an automobile was $700. Many people, including men coming home from World War I, used the Custer chair. As we drive along, looking left, you will see motorcycles. And don't miss the ragtop convertible display on your right. First, we have a 1967 Oldsmobile, then the pennant blue Chevrolet Corvette. Chevrolet started manufacturing Corvettes in 1953, but the first year they were in the showroom was 1954. Our gorgeous 54 Vette is all original under the hood. After the Corvette, we have a 1960 black Cadillac with red leather interior. Notice the dual headlights on that beautiful automobile. 1960 was the first year that dual headlights were legal in every state. This car also has the big tail fin styling in the rear of the automobile. If you were driving that Cadillac in the early 60s, you were riding in style. Around the corner and on the right side of the tram, we have a really big shoe. Some people ask why. We ask, why not? This shoe is actually from a now defunct cable channel called Wedding Central. And since we love all things oversized, we were happy to add it to our collection. After the shoe is the gigantic Ronald McDonald in his blue jumpsuit, followed by a bicycle built for 7. This red bike is called a Kobe, which is short for Conference Bike. Designed in San Francisco, there are 300 of these bikes in 18 different countries around the world. You will see all kinds of bicycles here at the American Treasure Tour, including the early penny farthing, and many models sold in this country from the 1950s and onward. As we go down the corridor, please note that you are in a building that originated as a B.F. Goodrich tire factory. In the 1970s, they were producing 12,000 tires a day here. After being in business over 50 years, the tire factory closed in the mid-1980s. Rather than demolishing this huge building, which is 1,200,000 square feet, the new owner repurposed it, and today it houses many businesses, including our sister company, Arnold's Family Fun Center. Check out Arnold's Fun Center for the biggest and best go-karting, arcade, and bowling east of the Mississippi. Toward the end of this hallway, on the right, you will find the glitzy sequined mummer costumes. The mummers are a Philadelphia tradition, and their first official parade was on New Year's Day in 1901. The history of the mummers is as colorful as their costumes and began as rivalries between Philadelphia neighborhoods. As we enter the next room in our journey, you will find that just like in our music room, we have miniatures here. On your left, the first display shows a miniature circus from the early days when the circus came to town on the train. The canvas tents were set up in a field, and the 3-ring circus and sideshow became the town entertainment for a few special weeks. The second display is a miniature amusement park from Moundsville, West Virginia, and used to be in an ice cream parlor window. It has the distinction of being handmade with no plastic. It's all wood and metal, and it is run by old Singer sewing machine motors. The last display is from the state of Minnesota and was made by a husband and wife team, John and
Wurlitzer Model 153, and it is just the first of many band organs we are going to hear on our tour today. We are about to enter a room full of them.
Machine we just heard is the second band organ in on your right. It's the nice blue color. It is an artisan band organ from North Tonawanda, New York. That's up by Niagara Falls. And you may be surprised to hear that its identical twin sister is just to the left of it, the machine that appears to be green. We've repainted the blue one so you can see what it looked like new. And the green machine shows you about 100 years of weather and wear. Unlike the Nickelodeons you can hear in our music room, band organs are typically outdoor machines. They live on fairgrounds and with carousels, that sort of thing, so they tend to take a beating over time battling the elements. In front of our band organs are many, many more of the storefront animations and displays that we saw just a few of in our circus wagons. We are absolutely surrounded by them in this room.
But throughout each of them to your right is a giant coil. It is a giant slinky. It's actually the world's largest slinky. It's 100 feet long and 48 inches in diameter. Slinky was invented by a Penn State graduate named Richard James, and the first store to sell one was Gimbel's in Philadelphia. It is truly a Pennsylvania-based toy. So we will travel down the length of the Slinky. We will hear some more band organ music as we go along. Just up ahead on your left is an item you surely cannot miss. The Popsicle Stick Castle. This castle is so large that it made its way into the 2009 Guinness Book of World Records. It was constructed by just one man, Steve Goodman. He's from Connecticut, and he constructed this castle from 396,000 popsicle sticks, and it is held together by 4 gallons of Elmer's glue. Before we listen to some more band organ music, please note that just up ahead on your right, you will be passing the oldest functioning automaton in the collection, the Sword Swallower. He dates back to the late 1890s, so he would have been in one of the very first storefront window displays in America. The machine you just heard is located in the front right corner of the room and is golden yellow in color. It is the Wurlitzer Model 165. It was the last band organ the Wurlitzer Company ever made. It was shipped to Griffith Park in Los Angeles, California in 1939, where it accompanied a carousel for many years. There are only 11 of these machines left in the world, and we have 3 of them here at the American Treasure Tour Museum. You will hear the other 2 play later in your tram ride. Ladies and gentlemen, on your left is the beginning of one of the most popular exhibits here at the American Treasure Tour Museum. Lit Brothers Department Store's enchanted Colonial Village Christmas display. You will see 9 of the original buildings that were originally on display at Lit Brothers 1960s and could be seen every Christmas season until Lit Brothers closed their doors in 1977. A local man named Thomas Comerford was the Lit Brothers house designer and worked with a German company to come up with this design in the style of a colonial village. As we slowly travel along, the majority of the buildings will be on your left. But as we come around the first corner on our right, a smaller scale animated display from Macy's department store in Philadelphia. These were on display in their New York City location in the early 1960s. This display shows Victorian-era Christmas along with the church scene and nativity. After they were seen in Macy's, they were sold to Hershey Park and were a part of their Candy Cane Lane Christmas display. Of course, after winter and Christmas comes springtime and Easter, which we have represented by all of the bunnies, ducks, chicks, and even Easter eggs. Don't miss the giant peeps included in this display. Peeps are made not too far away in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Just up ahead on your left, you will find one of the most recognizable families in America, The Simpsons. The Simpsons are the longest-running primetime show in television history. They started in 1989. In the corner of this room, you will find the giant papier-mâché Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They were the prized possession of Irene Higgins and were donated in her memory by her daughters. They are one of a very few number of donated items in this collection. Practically everything else you see on display has been purchased by our mystery collector. Before you leave this room, don't miss on the end to your right, Pinocchio, starring in his very own puppet show. And see dozens of hand-painted sideshow banners. They are exact replicas painted by Lancaster County artist June Fay. They are exact replicas except for their size. When we commissioned her to paint them for the museum, we asked her to shrink them down. We wanted to fit many acts on each wall. Originally, they would have been so large they could have filled a whole wall on their own. They were early forms of marketing, and we meant to attract people from a distance. They also painted cartoon characters and clowns. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Everywhere you go in the toy box, you will find airplanes hanging over your head. These are hobbyist-built radio-controlled airplanes and are works of art in their own right. We have close to 300 of them. On the left of the tram, there are Halloween masks. These were made by the Collegeville Costume Company that was in business for 50 years until 1994. When the costume company went out of business, our collector bought out their entire stock of costumes and masks. Collegeville is one exit west of us on Route 422. You will also find 4 of the Three Stooges hanging out on the wall. 10 different actors have portrayed a Stooge over the years. We like the Stooges so much, we named our trams after them. As we travel into the next area, you will find trucks at your left that were made about 100 years ago. The first old truck is a GMC, followed by a rare Pierce Arrow truck that is dark green. The brighter green truck is the Mack. After the Mack is the Nash Quad, and across from the trucks is the unlikely trio of Teddy Kennedy, Britney Spears, and Donald Trump. What? We had no idea what these 3 had in common until we found out they were each on separate Mardi Gras floats in New Orleans. The Nash Quad deserves a second look. It is a World War I era truck. It has a wooden body. 40,000 of them were made and most were shipped overseas. This truck is the 35th documented Nash Quad known to exist. Nash was the company that manufactured it and is called a quad because it had 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering, 4-wheel brakes, and 4-speed transmission. On your left is none other than Charles Entertainment Cheese, also known as Chuck E. Cheese, with his pizza-loving friends Mr. Lunch and Helen Henny. Standing behind are the Warblers. Chuck E. Cheese has been serving pizza and fun since 1977.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to our show. Well, gang, let's salute all the good people who are out there working for a living. How about that? Someday more than ever, and someday pass on by. I'll be working here forever, at least until I die. Darn if you do, and darn if you don't. I'm supposed to get a raise next week, and no darn well I won't. I'll as we do, right, gang? So hang around and enjoy the pizza. Don't go away, folks. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're taking what they're giving because we're working for a living.
The world's largest Gumby, stretching 20 feet high. On the front wall is the Drowsy Chaperone sign. This is a sign that hung on Broadway in New York City. In front of that beautiful Broadway sign is the best of our music. The machine in the middle is the only Wurlitzer model, number 175, ever made. It started its life playing for a carousel in Denver, Colorado. When it was purchased to bring here, it was in very bad condition, having been stored and unplayed for many years. It took a year of restoration work to bring it back to life. There are so many moving parts to these machines that all have to work together to produce a beautiful sound. The fact that they are still playing is a testament to the design, engineering, and construction that went into these splendid music makers. As you listen, keep in mind that the designers of these machines wanted them not only to play beautiful music, but to be beautiful to look at as well. Now that was surely beautiful, but we can top it. We have two band organs that we will play for you. Like the golden yellow colored machine that you heard earlier, these are our other two Wurlitzer Model 165s. As we travel along on your right, we have a full-size, beautiful airplane called the Denny Kit Fox. It is an amateur-built airplane, and the wings fold up, so you can build it in your garage, and that is also how you transport it to the airport. Just past the airplane is Manny, Mo, and Jack, better known as the Pep Boys, who started their business in Philadelphia in 1921. After the Pep Boys, check out the beautiful Dodge 440 Coronet from 1968. This car represents the muscle car era, and it is a smooth and a fast ride. The next classic automobile is a 1956 Robbins Egg Blue Cadillac Sedan DeVille. When this car was introduced, gasoline was a whopping 20 cents a gallon. This is a very large luxury automobile. We also have a 1924 Cadillac on display. That is in the walking portion of your visit today. Make sure you go and find it when your tram ride ends. Beyond the Cadillac are 1950s delivery and pickup trucks with a Dodge Power Wagon and a red Ford pickup on this end of the road. Beside the Statue of Liberty, you will find what was the loneliest guy in town, the Maytag repairman. Jesse White is pictured here, and he was the first of 5 men to play this part in Maytag's commercials. He is not so lonely anymore, as we purchased a Maytag rigger washer for him to work on. Before we make this last turn, it would be a good time to tell you that we do group, corporate, and student tours, as well as birthday parties and scavenger hunts here at the American Treasure Tour. Plan your next group adventure with us. And speaking of adventures, on the left we have a small fire truck that was used on many trips around this building. This is a working fire truck and is a relic of the old B.F. Goodrich tire factory. This little fire truck would take 2 workers around the huge factory and aid in putting out small machine fires, taking first aid to workers and in the cleanup of chemical spills. As we round the corner, look right to find a 1948 Hudson Commodore. Hudson was the first car manufacturer in the United States to hire a female designer. Her name was Betty Thatcher, and she designed dashboards. On the left, there is a 1934 Buick, a beautifully styled automobile. This automobile has suicide doors that open opposite each other. If you like classic movies, this was the style car that would be the getaway car for the bank robbers. This car even has a bullet hole in the back of it that you can see when you take a walk through more classic cars after your tram ride. On the right, there is a 1909 Sears and Roebuck motor buggy that one could order out of the Sears catalog. This is the car that looks like a carriage. It was $395 when it was new and features a tiller bar rather than a steering wheel. The wooden wheels are attired with hard rubber. That is where the word tire comes from. Sears advertised it was so easy to drive even a child could do it. Next to the Sears auto buggy is the 1949 Ford. Observe how fast the automotive industry advanced in 40 years, from the Sears car to this Ford, nicknamed the shoebox. After World War II ended, Ford was the only automotive company to immediately come out with a new model, and this car was it. People loved the shoebox and bought it by the thousands. The last 2 cars on the right are the Crossleys. They were very small cars in an era when most Americans were looking for large automobiles. Crosley didn't make his fortune in automobiles, but was famous for his radios. He sold thousands of radios that, along with other brands, helped put all the band organs and Nickelodeons out of business.